Welcome to the Cardinals Squad Show. My name is Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show, host of Locked On Phoenix Suns. Nat Hackett is the Cardinals' new OC. Is there any reason to actually panic, or is this a decent hire by the Cardinals? We'll talk about it.
Donnie Druin, Cardinals on-site beat reporter. The Cardinals still looking for a defensive coordinator. Young and innovative, experienced and seasoned. What direction should they go?
Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Larry Fitzgerald, 8th wide receiver to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And Ben's daddy, Michael Bidwell, messes it up again. Let's get it.
Rise up, Red Sea. It's the Cardinals Squad. Everything Arizona Cardinals every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Valley of the Sun. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up and squad up. The Cardinals Squad Show starts now.
What is up? Welcome back to the Cardinals Squad Show. Wherever you may be listening, however you may be listening, thank you so much for making us and this show a part of your day. Reminder, Locked On Cardinals Squad Show is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So hit that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands of Cardinals fans have already done. Come in every day and get Locked On the Cardinals Squad Show right here each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So the Arizona Cardinals have been busy this week since hiring Mike LaFleur. Since Mike LaFleur speaking on Monday, they have hit the ground running, hiring their staff. We will see what the rest of the staff looks like, but we do know one familiar face, maybe not to the Valley, but to the NFL landscape. Nathaniel Hackett, Nat Hackett, is the Arizona Cardinals' new OC. I got to be honest with you guys. I was surprised when there was a large amount of Cardinals fans really frustrated by this hire because he's not going to call plays. Clancy, what was your thought?
So it's like when a kid tries, broccoli for the first time. It's like you try it the first time. It's like, no, out of my face, mom. I'm in the high chair. I call the shots. And then you try it again, and it's like, oh, it's not that bad. Maybe broccoli was a bad example, but it's not that bad. It's like, I was like, barf right away. And then you think about it. The last time Nathaniel Hackett was anywhere near a LaFleur brother, they had the top offense in football. Okay, so a 3-year stretch, I think it was 10th, 1st, and 14th. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers was there, so it was very different, but like they didn't have any real skill position players outside of Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. So it's interesting when you have somebody that's comfortable for a first-time head coach. This is exactly what we've been looking for, and yeah, recency bias would lend you to think this is a bad hire, but I think everything else behind that, the 5 or 6 years before that, would make you think otherwise. So I'm not upset about it.
Yeah, I think adding to that, Alex, a lot of the reaction initially off social media was as if like he was going to be their head coach as well. Like people acted like Hackett was going to like come in, call the plays, like stuff LaFleur in a locker. It's just like, this is my team now. Like that's not how it's going to go. I think Hackett's largely going to be responsible for installing a lot of the offense that LaFleur is going to lay the groundwork for. He's not going to be calling plays. And I think at least me, I know Clancy and like Garcia have been a little bit on this chain where it's like, if you're going to get a first-time head coach like Michael LaFleur, you want somebody with experience. He has plenty of offensive coordinator experience. He has 1 year of head coaching experience that went horribly wrong. And I understand that's a major talking point for Cardinals fans, and rightfully so, right? Like you can't just ignore the stuff that's happened in the past. But I think if Hackett's been able to learn from that head coaching experience, it can be like a voice of reason for LaFleur to be like, hey, like I wish I would have done this. I really messed up doing that. Like I only think that's going to be beneficial.
Yeah. I sent this in our Cardinals Squad Show chat with Jameel and Clancy, and I said, when I first saw this, I was really frustrated until I remembered he wasn't going to call plays. This feels like a familiarity hire, and what is something we all asked for on this coaching staff was a little bit more experience. You could argue that last year, one of the issues with the Cardinals coaching staff is there was no experience on it, no one that you could lean to. Like one of the reasons why Clancy would tell me, like, Ben, why do you want Drew Petzing to be fired so much? There's no one on here who has experience calling for plays. My argument was just like, well, just got to try something different. But with this, you at least have something different in your back pocket. And like the Nat Hackett thing, I understand you're frustrated, and I would have been too if he was calling the plays. Does anyone think he's anything more than just a glorified quarterback coach for this team, or at least someone that can at least speak the LaFleur language? And come on, like, you don't think Matt LaFleur put in a good word for Nat Hackett. You either wanted Matt LaFleur to be the head coach over Mike LaFleur when there was a possibility when he could get fired, when that was probably never really the case, or you didn't. And I trust Matt LaFleur, who had Nat Hackett under him for a long time, and I trust Mike LaFleur. And also, like, if there was going to be some gray hairs on one of these coordinators, I wouldn't want it to be the offensive coordinator because he's not going to be the one calling the plays. The defensive guy, will have that discussion a little bit later on what the innovative and what the experience is going to look like. But this feels fine.
Yeah, that also doesn't mean that his job isn't going to be important. Like, this isn't like a, hey, you know what? You're on your way out. Here's one last paycheck, buckaroo. That's not what this is. Like, he's been an OC. He's been around offense for the last 12 or 13 years, pretty much, every year. So it's in succession. So this isn't something where it's like, hey, you know what? Mikey needs a blanket because he's scared of the dark. Like, that's not this either. The dude's been around some of the best quarterbacks in football. They had the number one offense in 2020. I know it was with MVP Aaron Rodgers, with Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, Equinemius St. Brown, and Aaron Jones. That was it. And they didn't never use a tight end back then after Jermichael Finley anyways. So if you look at the skill position players now with the Cardinals, it's a lot different. So he's going to be, and he's going to be a consultant. He's going to be a coach on the sidelines for Michael LaFleur. And I think this is something, familiarity is there, but that also doesn't dampen what his impact is going to be on that side of the ball, at least transitioning LaFleur from an OC into a head coach.
I don't want to do the too much of like defending Nat Hackett, but I mean, I will say this. His last two stints, like, people forget, as soon as Russell Wilson left the Seahawks, he was a shell of himself. So could you make the argument he had an atrocious Russell Wilson, and then he went to New York and had Aaron Rodgers barely after he tore his Achilles? Like, I think there is an argument, to be fair, that like he's at least a competent offensive coordinator, especially when he's not doing the play calling, Donnie.
Yeah, well, hold on. So, Donnie, let me ask you in this way. So your first words that you wrote, check him out on Sports Illustrated. He does great work for Arizona Cardinals and Phoenix Suns, moonlighting, because, he has 36 hours in a day when we all have 24. What were the first words? Talk to people about the first article you wrote after Nathaniel Hackett was hired, because you have to write with level head all the time. You've got your opinion, obviously, but what were the first words that came out of your mouth or, through your hands when that hire was made?
Was it Panic in the Desert? Is that what I said?
I think it was something like that.
Yeah, like a Panic at the Disco jab. I think the only thing I would add to that is if this gets to a point where Nathaniel Hackett has this much influence Cardinals fans think he's going to have on his offense, that's a Michael LaFleur and an Arizona Cardinals problem, not a Nathaniel Hackett thing. Nathaniel Hackett should very much be boxed in and like relegated in terms of like what he's going to be able to do. If this team falters because Nathaniel Hackett's offensive involvement, we have so many other problems that are bigger picture.
That's right. And I mean, this is going to be, and we'll talk about it in the second segment, like the DC was the more important hire here. It's still the more important hire. So this is something that, and I've said this, I said this in 2019 and 2020, where it's like any step that's not a step backward is a step forward for this team. You got to go back to square one. It's like, this isn't offensive. This isn't going to affect things in a negative way at all. And it's just going to complement it, maybe some training wheels for Michael LaFleur, and then you can see Nat Hackett go spread his wings and probably get a job in 2 years once the Cardinals are more solidified.
The only thing that will be frustrating about it is it's going to be low-hanging fruit for Cardinals fans, and I think some media, if the offense in the beginning looks a little clunky. They're immediately going to point to, well, this is what happens when you hire Nat Hackett, even though it's going to be Mike LaFleur calling the plays.
I don't know if that's true.
Donnie, weigh in on that. What do you think?
I think it's going to be a little bit of Hackett and a little bit of, they shouldn't have got like a failed Jets play caller, first-time head coach. Like, here we go again. It's Jonathan Gannon, except the opposite flavor.
Yeah.
That's what it's
I think, because that's the thing. It's like everybody. So it's funny. The people who screamed for Marv at 4 and yelled, why would you not take Marvin Harrison Jr.? are now like, oh, Monty Austin Ford, fire him because he took Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4. It's like, okay. When you have the actual, a result, you can't result bias this thing. This is what the Cardinals decided to do. They took a swing on a first-time head coach. He wasn't their fifth option, okay? But they got a guy who would be a head coach here. And remember, like, this was more of an arranged marriage when the Raiders thing didn't work for either of them. It's good now because they're both happy with where they're at, but come on. Like, this is going to take some time. So you can blame whoever you want, but this isn't going to be the Cardinals are, the greatest show on turf 3 weeks in with Jacoby Brissett as quarterback. That's not the plan here.
Okay. All right. So let's spend the last 5 minutes in this segment talking about this because I didn't hear anyone bring this up. Clancy technically beat me to the punch, but right before he was about to say it a couple weeks ago, I was like, don't you say it because I was waiting to have that take.
No.
Aaron Rodgers to Arizona.
No.
Is there any connection? Okay, so here, let me preface it by saying this. We understand the caveats that Kyler Murray, let's not even argue about it, could be a better option. Like, let's just acknowledge that could be in the room. We couldn't make the idea or the thought that maybe Jacoby Brissett is a better thought process for this team. Whatever. But let's put that to the side for a second. The Cardinals hopefully are not drafting a quarterback this year. They're hopefully waiting till 2027 and not forcing the issue. But still, this team is not going to tank next year, especially with a GM who's won like 15 games in his entirety of his career. They've got to look somewhat competent starting next year. You just hired Aaron Rodgers' homeboy as the offensive coordinator. It's one of the reasons why they got rid of Mike LaFleur.
Come on, Ben.
Do we think there's anything to that? Anything?
You know who's his homeboy? Is the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers now. Come on, dude. See the big picture here.
Wait a second. I remember the reports years ago.
Who won a Super Bowl with him? Who was the coach when he won a Super Bowl? Who was the coach when he won a Super Bowl?
Donnie, am I spazzing out here? Am I the only one that forgetting about some of the fractures between that relationship when McCarthy got fired?
That was 10 years ago.
That is something. Listen, I'm not saying
That's
that
not
old
something.
flame can't rekindle.
The only guy who's called an offense that's worked with Aaron Rodgers after 20, like here's the thing. Mike McCarthy coming back to Pittsburgh is maybe the only thing that would make me think that what we were talking about weeks ago that you stole from me won't happen.
Did not
right, Donnie? Is that right? I mean, they made the playoffs, dude, and Mike McCarthy's going to coach there.
I think Rodgers would much more likely and rather go back to Pittsburgh and try to play a year under Mike McCarthy and then retire, and then option C would be exploring other teams. But why are we acting like the Cardinals right now are like a destination for anybody? Like, why would like this is like being at a grocery store and be like, you know what, like, man, like I would love that sirloin steak. And it's like, okay, you can't afford that. Like, you need to go to the ramen noodle section, big dog. Like, that's not in the realm of possibility, right? Like, Aaron Rodgers is not thinking about the Arizona Cardinals right now. So even if the Cardinals did want him, cool. I want a Bugatti. I don't see one in the garage.
Yeah, and also there's another team in his former division where it would be a perfect spot in Minnesota if he wanted to go somewhere else, which was rumored to go last year, but they wanted JJ McCarthy, and now they don't have a quarterback. So Aaron Rodgers on a 1-year deal there, if he can go back to Pittsburgh, which I'm assuming he will, is a better chance. And I'll tell you what, all Mike LaFleur has worked with is quarterbacks like Jacoby Brissett, physicality-wise. Matthew Stafford's got a little bit more fleet of foot, but he knows how to call an offense that Jacoby Brissett can run. Truly.
I'm surprised.
I don't think you need to look elsewhere.
I'm surprised you guys pushed that to the side. I am.
Well, now because of what's matriculated since, yeah. Mike McCarthy, they're making the playoffs, things like that. Yeah.
I just feel like, do you guys think okay, let me say this. Do you think if there's mutual interest between the Cardinals and not mutual interest, if there's interest in Aaron Rodgers for the Cardinals side, do you think he would come here or rather retire?
Aliens. I don't think it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's like saying, would Michael Bidwell call me to be the quarterback next year? No, I'm going to stay retired, buckaroo.
Aliens are real, by the way. Okay. So
aliens being real is the most normal thing you say when I say aliens as something that you bring up as a possible situation that would absolutely never happen.
Doesn't feel like it's that impossible. I mean,
this is not 2 months ago. This is not a month ago. So many things have changed. Plus, they've got what? How much? If they trade Kyler Murray $60 million tied up cap space wise on the quarterback position, I don't think they want to give Aaron Rodgers 10 more to come over here on top of all of it.
Listen, I just thought it'd be kind of fun. I mean, Donnie, come on, wouldn't it be great to ask Aaron Rodgers a couple of questions?
I'd love to go up to Flagstaff with Aaron Rodgers, man. Just have a little trip with him. Yeah,
that's a little different.
There.
Let's move over to the Cardinals. We talked about the OC. We talked about Nat Hackett. And we talked about how Aaron Rodgers is the equivalent to aliens in the desert. Let's go over to the defensive coordinator side of conversation. Clancy's got a good question for us. Innovative, young, or experienced DC for the Cardinals, other coordinator position opening. So let's talk about that next. Today's episode is brought to you by Robin Hood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robin Hood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robin Hood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always know the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply the knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risks, and it is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered future commissions merchant and swap firm. Also, today's episode is brought to you by Home Chef. As the new year gets going, a lot of people are trying to simplify their routines, and dinner is a big one. Between busy work days, cold work nights, and packed schedules, having an easy, reliable dinner plan makes a huge difference. That's where Home Chef comes in. Home Chef takes the stress out of cooking by delivering fresh, pre-proportioned ingredients right to your door with easy-to-follow recipes that actually taste great. They're rated #1 by users of meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. And it's easy to see why. Meals come ready to fit your schedule. 30-minute recipes, over-ready trays, or quick lunches. Over 30 weekly options include family-sized meals and different dietary options. Recipes are simple but feel elevated, even restaurant quality with dishes co-created by chefs like Gordon Ramsay. Everything arrives pre-proportioned, so there's the less prep, less mess, and no wasted food. Save time and money. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners, 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. Just go to homechef.com/lockdown. That's homechef.com/lockdown for $50 for 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. Must be an active subscriber to receive free desserts. All right, let's start the second segment off like this. The Cardinals need a DC that still isn't out there who potentially they will hire. We have seen some potential candidates for this job. Clancy, you wanted to phrase this one up to us. I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, so here's the thing. There's two different ways you can go about this. The first question you want to ask yourself is Nathaniel Hackett old enough? Does he have that experience enough to be that anchor for Mike LaFleur? And I don't think so. First of all, he's an offensive guy. And second of all, the Cardinals don't have a head coach of the defense yet. But it lends to two lines of questioning. One, do you bring in a dude like Wink Martindale? Okay. He ran one of the best defenses we've seen the last 20 years with the Ravens. He blitzes a lot. Cardinals have great personnel to be able to utilize that with how many heavy hitters they have. That's one. There's tape on Wink Martindale. He's an institution. He's got a defense. Everybody knows what it is. You just got to protect against it. That's one. That's stable. He's been around football for 40 years or whatever it is. He's 62 years old. He'd be that Wade Phillips that we've talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks for Michael LaFleur. That's one. Is that good for Michael LaFleur, and is that good for the players? Two, do you bring in Aubrey Pleasant, who knows Michael LaFleur from the Raiders or from the Rams, who's got a very, very DB-centric history, not as long as Wink Martindale? Do you bring in Dino Vaso, the DB and defensive pass game coordinator for the Texans, both younger dudes who can bring an innovative defense that keeps in touch with the innovative offenses that we see now? There's not that safety net for an old head on defense. There's not that safety net for a dude that's run a defense before on his own, but that could lend more to the innovation on defense with the skill position players the Cardinals have on defense. There's pros and cons to both, and I don't know which one's the right choice yet. Does that make sense? There's a huge delineation between the two. It's two different colors. It's old and it's innovative.
Clancy, which way would you lean?
I mean, I would lend, with how it's set now, the Cardinals probably won't win. The excitement of the unknown for a defensive guy is what piques my interest more, but I'd rather take Old Faithful. Wink Martindale had not a great run with the Giants. He's been with Michigan the last couple years. He was the DC for Will Johnson, I believe, in 2024 when he was there. Like, he's an institution. If you need Michael LaFleur growth, you go with him. If you need talent development, I talked to a bunch of people who have covered him for a long time. He's a great talent developer, which is what they need on defense also. So I probably go an old head like him over a first-time DC at this point. Donnie?
Yeah, I think adding to that, another name we didn't talk about, Charlie Bolin. I think Harbaugh wanted to retain him on staff.
That one's
he went to
interesting.
the Giants, and it seems like there's a lot of like hype around him. My problem with Wink, and like I do think if you're making me choose one guy right now, it's probably Wink Martindale. But I've seen a couple of people highlighted in the chat is it just gets to a point where like you figure out the bread and butter.
Yeah, it's
and
stale.
then from there, like Wink can't do anything else. Like I'm such a big fan of being aggressive and like getting after the quarterback and throwing everything but the kitchen sink. I wish Nick Rallis did it more because I thought the Cardinals were a really good defense whenever they were both healthy and able to get pressure after the quarterback.
Right.
But like the old dog new tricks thing is very, very true because like if Wink Martindale was as good as a defensive coordinator that like a lot of people make him out to be, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now because he would have an NFL defensive coordinator job somewhere,
right.
maybe even like a head coach. So there's pros and cons to both. I think getting one of those young, more innovative guys, I think they would be more inclined to maybe throw a couple curveballs mid-season, maybe change some things. Whereas like a guy like Wink, like you're not changing anything. Like this is how we do things. This is how we run
But
things.
isn't that what don't the Cardinals need some sort of metronome on this team? Like that's my pushback. It's like, I get that. Once it's had, and then, it's on the players to overcome, the cover zeros that are getting burned once or twice a game. Like, I get that. But can the Cardinals risk choosing another Nick Rallis when you have another Jonathan Gannon? Like, I need a head coach for that defense. Like,
I'd agree.
That needs to be, and I would rather a guy who's, even if it's quote unquote stale or found out or whatever it is, very static, unlike what Nick Rallis' defense was. Maybe some static energy is what you need on defense and just have your talented players make plays. Like that's where I argued with myself for 25 minutes on my show about this, today. I don't know what the right answer is because they both have upsides and downsides.
Yeah, really quick, Ben, but before you go, I do want to say, like, is this defense good enough to where, like, you just need something stable like Martindale, and then, like, the talent, when healthy, can elevate it from there? Like, are we talking about that kind of situation here?
Well, listen, if he can develop, talent development has been severely lacking on both sides of the ball ever since this new regime took over. I think it's fair. Like, it's not, we haven't seen a young player get significantly better year over year outside of Trey McBride.
Yeah.
Like, significantly. Paris Johnson Jr. had a bad route. He went on the right side. He got better over year. Michael Wilson, we'll see what this is next year. Will Johnson looked good last year, but like Garrett Williams seems to have regressed a little bit. I know he was injured, large part of the season, but Mac Wilson has gotten better since he's come here from when he was with New England. But what young player has gotten better since being drafted by the Arizona Cardinals? Darius Robinson? No. Bijay Ojulari? We haven't seen. Like, Max Melton relegated to the bench. Talent development's a problem.
The thing about Wink Martindale is I go back to what you guys are saying. I just don't know if the Cardinals are in a position to take a swing on a Pleasant or Bolin. Like, I just don't know if they're there right now to where it feels like even if the Cardinals just come in and do the Wink Martindale thing of we're just going to blitz you, play a bunch of cover zero, and let our strong DBs, or whether over the top or jamming at the line of scrimmage to make life tough on you, if we can at least hang our head on that for a little bit, that'd be great. However, it does make me wonder why Wink Martindale is in college. Like, maybe his stuff did get kind of figured out, where in college you've got high level talent over at Michigan that you can just kind of call that each and every time over and over and over again, because you're going up against collegiate level quarterbacks and they sometimes can't deal with the blitzes as well as they can in the NFL. So I see it from both ways. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even think the defensive thing, like, it matters, and talent development matters. I think this team just needs a leader, and they just need toughness. And I think one of the things that I look at Mike LaFleur, and I mentioned this on Monday or Tuesday show, one of the things I look at Mike LaFleur, one of the things I look at Wink Martindale is, I don't know if I see a lot of toughness. And I'm going to be honest with you, Clancy might disagree with me on this. I don't know if I see a lot of leader of men out of Mike LaFleur. I do see that in Wink Martindale, and the way that players and people talk about Wink, even if he has been a little ancient over the last couple of years, I just think the Cardinals should continue to lean into that leadership. And also, like, what are the optics around the league if the Cardinals hire Wink Martindale and it even just works to a average degree, where if they bring in potentially Pleasant and it doesn't work out, then it's like, okay, Cardinals are still taking risks on first-time coaches and it's not working out. So I'd probably lean towards
because here's the thing. Well, what does a leader of men look like for an offensive coordinator who's never called plays before? We have no idea if he's a leader of men or not. You have no idea what that looks like.
From what I've seen in the one press conference, and again, that is not great, Clancy. I would 100% agree with you. That's the one thing I'm like, I don't know if they're going to follow that 5'8" guy to war. That's all I lean towards it. Like, I think with Jonathan Gannon, he came out immediately talking about, like, I think the Jonathan Gannon leader thing was always there. He came out talking about violence, how they want to be tough, kind of came out talking like he was a bad boy Piston. And I think players bought into that for a degree, and then it didn't work out. Yeah. I just want to see someone that players can follow into war is all.
Jonathan Gannon's leadership was questioned when they went 3-14 last year. Okay, so come on. It's not like they won 14-2 he got fired. It's a TBD thing. But I don't know who put in the chat. Raymond, and I'm going to butcher his last name, put in the chat, the one right above that. Wink's got friends. Okay, you need a linebacker coach. You need a DB coach. You need guys like this is, for me, it's like, this isn't about, it's kind of messed up to say. It's like, it's not about building a family of coaches. Now it's 1099 employees. Who can you bring in to do the best job immediately? That's it. I don't care if you like him. I don't care if he's a leader of men. I don't give a rip. Who can Wink bring? And remember, Jesse Minter was with Michigan, okay? And he's parlayed that into one of the most prestigious head coaching roles with Baltimore. So just because he's at Michigan calling the plays on defense doesn't mean that's not a mini pro job. Like, he had to get away from East Rutherford with the Giants. He just had to get the hell out of town and the hell out of the NFL. You need independent contractors to do a job collectively. It doesn't matter if you're a team. It doesn't matter if you're holding hands. It's just got to work. So I don't care about the cohesion there, except for there's a little mentoring that would obviously come with any sort of elder statesman coach for a first-time head coach.
So we've heard, I think everyone in the chat knows who Wink Martindale is. Let's talk about the other guys. Yeah. Bolin, the Giants guy, who's Vaso, and Vaso. And Aubrey Pleasant. Out of those three guys, who do you think? Because I think there is an element of who's got the highest ceiling, also who's got the highest ceiling with the highest floor. Out of those three guys, if they picked out any of those guys, really, who would you be the most happy with?
Donnie?
Vaso's got like a lot of hype around him, man. And like, admittedly, so like we don't really know like what the ceiling or the floor is with any of these guys. But when you work under D'Amico Ryans, I think you know a thing or two about like defensive football. And when you have the praises sung by D'Amico and by other people around the league who are very well connected on the defensive side of the ball, like that's at least exciting. I think Pleasant would be like the biggest gamble in my opinion. And then Bolin is just like a step below, I think, Vaso for me. But like these are all question marks. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not solidified on them. I'm not sold on them. I can't really say I'm pounding the table for any of them. But like if I have to choose one that's not Wink Martindale, it's probably gonna be Vaso.
Yep, that was mine too. The only problem is Dino was on the Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff that won a Super Bowl, so at least he has some pedigree. They've been around the league about the same amount of time, but my biggest question mark surrounding, I kind of equated to like linebackers from Georgia 5 years ago when you had just this defensive front of 30-year-old dudes ripping 19-year-old kids' heads off, and they just run in willy-nilly like it's you and me sacking quarterbacks, like Nakobe Dean and guys like that hasn't really panned out. I wonder if it's kind of that as a DB coach and pass coordinator, the Dino Vaso has been. They have the best front in football. So, yeah, the secondary has maybe a little bit of an easier job. You bring him in. This isn't Matt Burke who's calling the defense, who's calling the defensive line out there. This is the DB coach and pass coordinator. So it may be more of a difficult transition for him, even though either Pleasant or Vaso, who have that extensive DB history, would be able to, get the most out of the secondary that the Cardinals have. It's wildly talented. I just don't know if one separates more than the other. Aubrey Pleasant, you could say that their defense, which is true, was the second cheapest contract-wise defense in the NFL, and they made the NFC Championship game. So say what you want. There's redeeming qualities for both, and obviously the Michael LaFleur ties.
Yeah, and so one of the reasons why I would take Aubrey Pleasant over the other two guys is because he's an assistant head coach under Sean McVay, which tells me Sean McVay really trusts this guy. He really buys into this guy as a leader or as just a smart defensive mind on the other side. I will concede that I think there is some concerns because, as Clancy's talking about, the one weak link of this Rams team that I heard talked about ad nauseum all year long was the defensive backs, that they weren't big enough, that they were kind of small, that they need to be more physical, and they could get kind of pushed around at times. Like A.J. Brown, who's having a tough year, had a field day against this Rams team. Now, it might not be the best example, but still. The other one that really, I want to ask you guys this. Shouldn't Bullen be the highest on the Cardinals board, given the fact he's the only one here that's called plays, even if it's as an interim guy?
No.
Fair.
Does you buy into that, Clancy?
I would take, at this point, if you're going to take a first time real, I'm taking Sean McVay tutelage, even though it's the other side of the ball, and D'Amico Ryan's tutelage over anything.
All right. Well, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm really ecstatic with the list of defensive coordinators that the Cardinals are at least interviewing. It seems like there are going to get some guy that we're talking about potentially saying, hey, this guy's got a lot of high upside. And even if it doesn't work out, it feels like they at least did their due diligence, which maybe with Nick Rawls and Jonathan Gannon, we could say maybe not. Let's get to the Larry Fitzgerald. First ballot Hall of Famer. I think Clancy mentioned the fourth wide receiver to the eighth wide receiver to get in on their first try. So let's talk about that next. Today's episode is sponsored by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for. Trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs. Put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed someone for the show, I'd go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I need. Real experience, not just resume buzzwords. Instead of struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed sponsored jobs helps your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. Sponsored jobs boost your post to the people who are the best match for your role, and that makes a massive difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than a non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of the show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Okay, so Larry Fitzgerald, eighth wide receiver ever to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, got in obviously on his first try. What was your guys' reaction to this, Clancy? It just so we're clear, it seems like a lot of people were just over the moon ecstatic about Larry Fitzgerald in. I just always thought it's a Friday on February 6th in 2026. He was always going to get in, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Bill Belichick thing kind of threw people for a loop. Coaches and players are completely different, but sweet, this is the best part of the show so far. No, but for me, the first thing I thought was welcome back. The first thing I thought was, can a non-retired player get put in the Hall of Fame? Because Larry Fitzgerald never retired. So it's interesting that he's able to do that, right? Because he never officially retired. Correct?
No, you don't have to. You just have to be 5 years removed from the last.
Which is malarkey. So it still kind of pisses me off a little bit. It doesn't piss you off a little bit that he didn't say give a bow to the fans at all and just rode off into the sunset?
So I thought about that extensively, and I think the conclusion I came to was Larry went out on his own terms. And like, while I think fans really deserve to have that last send off as in, hey, this is Larry's last year. Like, let's make sure he goes out on like a good turn. There's part of me that thinks he was a little unsure if he was going to keep playing or not. And then for whatever reasons, he was just like, nah, like, I think I'm good. So, but that's Larry though. Like Larry was never wanting to like steal the spotlight and like have it on him. He never wanted to make it all about me. Like that's the Larry Fitzgerald thing, man.
As long as he was making $11 million a year, he would do whatever.
That
as long as he was getting that paycheck.
He never took a pay cut.
As long as he was taking that paycheck.
And
people wonder why he played so long. People wonder why he stayed here because he was getting double what he would be getting elsewhere from Michael Bidwell.
He got a lot of money.
Yeah, he got a lot of money. No, but all joking aside, like the best stat in the history of sports, in my opinion, is Larry Fitzgerald has more tackles than drop passes in an almost 20-year career, which is insane. I think it was 42 tackles or 41 tackles and 29 drop passes, which is unbelievable. This is great. They simple, get in. Randy Moss gave him a hug, when he was the ball boy over in Minnesota.
That was pretty cool. Was pretty cool.
This is it. And then he's going to ride off into the sunset. You're going to have the Ring of Honor, I'm assuming, to start the season. If they're not going to wait, whatever it is, and that'll be it. Mum's the word. It's happenstance.
One last throw from Kurt Warner to Larry Fitzgerald to like really that was pretty cool. And it was the very first one, having Kurt Warner being able to actually induct him in, or at least make the announcement that he will being inducted in. That was really telling. While we're still on this, the Cardinals, and I've seen a few different people talk about this on social media. I think it's a good talking point. Why don't the Cardinals incorporate Larry Fitzgerald or any of their legends more in their day-to-day football operations? We just saw this with the Atlanta Falcons making Matt Ryan their president of football operations. The Cardinals are one of like 5 teams that don't have a president. Not saying Fitz should be this guy, but does it bother you guys that they don't incorporate these guys more? These guys that champion winning. Fitz, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, does it at all? The greatest Cardinal of all time. Like you couldn't get the Coyotes around without Shane Doan making an appearance every 5 seconds. They still trot out Luis Gonzalez, who isn't close to a Hall of Famer in baseball status. He's everywhere. I think the Suns do this now much better now that Matt Ishbia is here because no one liked Robert Sarver. Why don't the Cardinals kind of do this?
I mean, if they want to pay Larry Fitzgerald $10 million a year to be a part of the organization, I'm sure he would.
$10 million?
Yeah.
Just
$7 million, $8 million.
Consult?
No. I'm sure they consult. I mean, he's up there all the time in the booth. Like, it's not, yeah. I mean, I think this is, first of all, it talks about Michael Bidwell. If they wanted to be here, they would.
That's right. I was saying you too.
I think it's more, I think that's much ado about nothing. It's just whatever. The Cardinals are weird. The Cardinals are just weird.
Yeah, I will say, I think it's interesting. You see a lot of other organizations kind of reach back in the past and like have like modern, at least like modern day, like legends around. You don't really see that with the Cardinals. Like, I really can't like think of like when the last time they had Larry at a game and like they like showed him or like something like that. And then like Kurt Warner, like they like brought him in to like do this or that. Like, I don't think it's a necessity. I don't think it's going to like alter wins and losses on the schedule. Like maybe the Cardinals need to turn it around for guys like Kurt and Larry to be like, okay, well, if I'm going to devote a lot of my time to this, like I want to make sure I get something rewarding out of it. I don't want to go to 3-14 every year. So I'm sure like maybe that plays a little part of it too. But I do think if there was mutual interest, like we would have seen it already.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, yeah, winning helps. I mean, it's just, yeah, I don't think it's a massive deal. Like it's just what it's going to be. It's just what. How much
do you think it has to do with Bidwell, Clancy?
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah, everything starts and ends with him. Like I don't think it's nuanced at all. I think it's him, and I think a lot of people don't want to be here anymore. Well, Patrick Peterson came back, so I'm sure they paid him handsomely to lead the first, airplane to the Cowboys, where you have to pay $5,000 to get on there. I'm sure they paid him handsomely after he got in the Ring of Honor after, requesting a trade and then getting popped for PEDs and then requesting a trade again. Oh, he's happy to be back because he's getting paid, I'm sure. Like, is this? I'm not being like with any animosity.
No, you're being
one thing
I think
happened
you're right.
after another thing happened. There's only one thing that would make that happen, in my opinion. Now, going back to Larry, like, I could argue, I would love to have this debate for him being the best wide receiver of all time. Like,
I was gonna go us there. I was gonna take us there. Don't worry.
Yeah, cool. So I'm gonna take it now. So because of the 20 plus quarterbacks he had,
22.
Carson Palmer for however many years, and Carson was out for half of one of those years. And Kurt Warner only played a handful of games in 1 year. He's here for a handful of years. Everything else was Max Hall and Drew Stanton. Drew Stanton's a good dude, but Max Hall, Drew Stanton, John Skelton, Kyler for a year. It's like the numbers
would you like me to read the list to you?
I don't really want to get a barf bag, but
Okay.
Sam Bradford?
Oh, Sam. Well, for what? A game and a half, and then you bring in Josh Rosen. His first drive as an NFL quarterback was a 2-minute drill in a 1-score game against Chicago. Remember that? It was third and whatever, and the offensive coordinator didn't put David Johnson on the field in 2018. You guys don't remember that? I'm the old one. How do you guys not remember that? But yeah. So like, you could have the argument that like with his opportunities, what he's done, being number 2 in receptions and number 2 in receiving yards in the history of football, is probably the best feat that a wide receiver has ever done if you balance everything together. Right?
Donnie?
Impressive.
We're not.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a homer.
no. Considering it, like, I didn't grow up a Cardinals fan. So I think I'm coming at a place where like I'm not biased
Same.
at all. It incredibly, like, the durability, the production from start to finish too. Like, obviously, like, he tailed off a little bit towards the end of his career, but like to do it with like us three throwing him the ball for like a good portion of his career, like nothing short of outstanding. Like, he showed up into postseason whenever it mattered for them. Like, he was like on and off the field, like a great guy. And like, not that matters and like greatest receiver of all time discussions, but like, you really can't find somebody who hates Larry Fitzgerald. Like, it's impossible. And if you hate Larry Fitzgerald, I don't trust you. I really don't.
You're the
that's
problem.
Right. I mean, I remember a couple of my favorite times, and this is just, in the years and years I've been in the space, going and doing a live show outside of his charity event in August. We did it for, I think, 3 years. Like, before. He just couldn't have been, he's not like a celebrity where he's super fake. And then you see it in the movies where you're super fake and then you're a total, expletive behind the scenes. Like, this dude is just a consummate pro, very philanthropic, charitable, he's a great dad, all of these things. Like, there's nothing, like, good luck putting a PI on him and finding something wrong with him. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just one of those things, and it makes it better for sure. It makes it even more endearing for sure.
That's so funny you say that. My very first interview in the sports media space, I was 18. I interviewed Larry Fitzgerald, and he is the exact same guy. It was at the Fitz dinner, whatever thing in early August that Clancy's talking about. Everyone got to interview him. I was just one of the people in line. I got to spend a couple of minutes with him. Incredibly nice guy. Couldn't have happened to a better dude. And I do get frustrated when the conversation of best wide receiver comes up, or top 5 wide receivers of all time, and people don't mention Fitzgerald in there, and they instead throw some other wide receivers in there. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough that it does frustrate me. And it's one of those things that it does kind of make me upset that he didn't go somewhere to go win a ring at one point. Like, remember when Tom Brady talked about he tried to pry Larry Fitzgerald from Arizona? He just wouldn't leave. Like, it was almost like, what are you doing, man?
Why not?
Go
Why
win
not?
a championship.
Why not? Why do you think he didn't leave?
No,
He's loyal. That's why.
Yeah, because New England would have given him $1 million. They don't pay anybody. Tom Brady wasn't making $11 million back then.
Loyal to $11 million.
No, and I'm joking. Like, I say it tongue in cheek. Like, obviously, he's a loyal guy.
Dude, I don't think any of us on this panel I don't think any of us on this panel, whenever Larry Fitzgerald could have hit the free agency market, I don't think there's anyone here that said, don't pay him $11 million. Even when he wasn't very...
That year, probably. Yeah. After the BA years,
he was always productive.
Sure. Yeah.
He was always productive. Yeah. No one wanted him gone. His leadership mattered. He was a coach on the field. And like, during the tough times, when people would just scream out Larry at training camp, like, you can't talk about the Cardinals' 5 best moments as a franchise and 4 of them aren't Larry. That's, I guess, like, I don't mean to take it back to that, but like, it does frustrate me that they just don't put more into that. How much of it does he want to? That's also there as well. But Larry Fitzgerald, getting it last night, it was, I didn't think I'd get sentimental about it, but even last night I was like, oh, that's right. That's my childhood right there. And it was so crazy every single year, questioning if he'd come back. was almost like reminiscent of like Steve Nash. He never ended up retiring with the Suns, but like, is he going to come back? And he always did. He always took that month and a half. And then surely enough, Clancy was right. That $11-12 million would come as speaking to him. And everyone we were glad to pay him.
Yeah, happy to have him back. It just
100%.
Yeah.
At the expense of maybe one other player on defense.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say I wouldn't pay him.
Didn't say that.
I didn't say I wouldn't pay him. I would have absolutely done it every time.
Say that.
Well, from the good news of Larry Fitzgerald getting into the Hall of Fame, old Uncle Bidwell had to make sure he got his checkbook out to see how much money he could charge other people to go see Larry Fitzgerald get enshrined to the old Hall of Fame. Old Bidwell. I wonder how much of that money Larry Fitzgerald is going to see. Probably none. Let's talk about that next. Today's episode is brought to you by the lovely folks over at ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like getting a diamond in the rough. Sure, you want someone who's in network nearby and has availability, but you also want a doctor who listens and makes you feel comfortable and explains things clearly. That's why that's why it's easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love without all the hassle. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 150,000 providers across all 50 states, covering over 200 specialties from primary care and dentistry to dermatology and eye care. I'll admit it. Listen, I've definitely put off doctor's appointments longer than I should. Between work, life, and everything else, it's easy to delay. ZocDoc makes the process simple. You can search by specialty or symptoms and actually build a care team that works for you. You can see real-time availability and book instantly, no phone calls, no waiting on hold. You can also read verified patient reviews so you can feel confident choosing a doctor you actually like. Stop putting off those doctor appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. So it wasn't for very long that you could get ecstatic about what Larry Fitzgerald was doing going into the Hall of Fame until we saw good old Uncle Bidwell decide he needed another, I don't know, Lamborghini, new yacht, new house, whatever it looks like, that he was going to decide to charge people to go see Larry Fitzgerald's enshrinement. This was one of those things where kind of simply you could do the Cardinals, you know, what is it, extravaganza trip where you could have traveled to a different location, did all the fun little things at a modest price of like $5,000. Clancy, when you saw this, for some reason I can't pull up exactly what the
yeah, I got it.
What it was. Okay, you got it right there. For some reason I can't pull it up. But anyways, what was your thoughts and take on this from old Uncle Bidwell doing a little cash grab?
One step forward, 7 steps back. So like, and somebody actually, so I tweeted this out. So it's Hall of Fame weekend in Canton. Premier travel trip features access and amenities never before offered anywhere. Cool. That's awesome. So that sounds like a Ponzi scheme, ad. But like, this is the dumbest thing. Like, it's great for Larry. Okay, it's great for all that stuff. Somebody commented on this tweet, the amenities to get in is $131. To get on the ground, if you live down the street from Canton and you want to go, it's $131. Where's the other $4,600 coming from? Flight? Are you staying at the Ritz-Carlton and sleeping on caviar? Like, what are we doing here, guys? You can't get season ticket holders. The one thing that could have made this great, just like the Casitas thing, and just like the Dallas Travel Club or whatever the hell it is hold a lottery for like 20 spots. People put in $50 and you get a chance to win. And he doesn't do it and he doesn't care. And it's only for the 1%ers. And it's so out of touch. It's so out of touch. I mean, Donnie, do you agree? Like, what was your first thought when you got this email today?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so I want to take this back to the Casitas because I somewhat understood the casita thing initially because I'm like, okay, well, they're building new NFL stadiums. They're trying to be like a perennial like Super Bowl host. Like, there's not really like a field level suite when you look at Vegas, when you look at SoFi, when you look at some of these other stadiums that do have it. I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's going to be like a premium thing. And then they had the Fiesta Bowl here. And they removed the casitas and just put like the normal stands that were normally back there before. And I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't like a hey, let's just for big games have like just these really nice, expensive like field suites to try to be more caterable to like the college football playoff or the NFL, whatever it might be. Like the Cardinals fans who spend their hard-earned money on trying to get seats, who had season tickets there, were told to get out of Dodge for those to be there. I think shows that Bidwell's kind of out of touch. And I think that was even like amplified at his end of season press conference whenever they fired Jonathan Gannon. And he was asked about specifically catering to the 1% of Cardinals fans. And he brought up the stadium Wi-Fi as like a luxurious amenity.
Is it good?
No, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good.
I mean,
I
it's
use
like,
it every time I'm there, obviously, for work. I don't think it's good.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's not even like they're giving the money away to charity. If they were doing that, like, hey, this is all going to go pros, like we're collaborating with Larry Fitzgerald and all the money is going to go towards the charity to whatever Larry Fitzgerald's charity is. And we're going to make it happen that way. I totally agree with Clancy that this would be so in a week of great press. Mike LaFleur sounds like you might get a good, at least vibrant young defensive coordinator. You're poaching the Rams staff. Larry Fitzgerald gets in the Hall of Fame. All you had to do is, hey guys, everyone, it's $100 for a raffle ticket. My idea was a little different, just award 5 fans, but whatever. Like raffle ticket, $100 a piece. All proceeds are going to Larry Fitzgerald's charity. I just don't know why this has to be done. And it's also like I saw Clancy's tour, like it started at $4,700. What was the higher package?
It's like 8,800, 8,000.
Yeah, that's per person. That's per person.
What?
Yeah, but so to answer your question, that seems rhetorical. It's not. This is his last cash grab for Larry Fitzgerald. That's how I think he sees it. This is his last chance to make money on Larry Fitzgerald, which is sad, but it's kind of what. Oh, and breaking news: Michael Bidwell was just awarded another award, an inaugural award. I just got this email from Cardinals media. Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell receives inaugural, quote, Sport for Impact Legacy Award presented by former Cardinal Anquan Boldin at Super Bowl in San Francisco. I feel like at this point, didn't Michael Bidwell win the inaugural Arizona Sports Award or whatever a handful of years ago, the Arizona Hall of Fame? It's like, I feel like this dude donates to charities and companies so he can win an award. Like, what would he win an award for? Truly. Give me something.
He's the worst owner in Arizona. He's behind Ken Kendrick. That's how bad he is. Well, I mean, Robert Sarver was holding him up for a long time there, and now he's gone. Like, I don't know, man. It's so tone deaf. You have this entire. I mentioned it again. You have this great week of publicity, and you just step in your own way. And also, who's paying for this? Who's paying for this?
The problem is that there's people out there who can afford it. And like that's that was like the line with me. It's like, I understand, like, they weren't going to bring like 10,000 people on a plane to Canton, Ohio to watch Larry. If people really wanted to go, they can probably do on their own dime. And like, yeah, like, are there people who can shell out 10,000 like it's nothing that are Arizona Cardinals fans? Sure. But it's just like the optics of it. It's just what makes it so much worse.
Well,
yeah, it's just a reminder. It's like, you know what? Michael Bidwell is up there, but really Monty Osborne's got it from him down. Everything's fine. I used to equate it to a tent where people have weddings in inclement weather. It's like, you know, you're in there. It's self-sufficient. It was like Monty Osborne down is this wedding tent in the middle of State Farm Stadium, and it's enclosed, and it's Monty's thing, and Michael Bidwell's everywhere else. I feel like at this point, it's like Michael Bidwell truly continues to remind us right when you forget about him that he doesn't care. He just does not care. And it's sad. You know, he says he does. Well, listen, Donnie, when he did the introductory press conference, he talked for 10 minutes or so, forgot Matt LaFleur's wife's name, stumbled a little bit. Like, obviously he wasn't prepared enough or he was nervous, whatever it is. Does he just look fake? Does he just look like a politician? And it's not rhetorical. This isn't a pile-on scenario.
I think he's got to be political just because he's an NFL owner. And that's what most NFL owners do. And that is not me defending him. That is not me standing up for him. That is me just literally classifying him as, hey, like, this is how he feels like he needs to publicly perceive himself.
Did you think you were going to get to ask him questions on Monday, Donnie?
I did.
Did you? And okay, so I was the only one who thought that. Did you think, what was the vibe around the rest of the media? Pissed off? Were they pissed off that they didn't get to ask him anything? That he only showed up during the fun times?
It was interesting that we got to hear from him after they fired Jonathan Gannon, but we didn't get to hear from him after they hired Michael LaFleur. I don't remember if he spoke whenever they hired Gannon back in 2023. I do think Bidwell, and I think Cardinals media relations does a good enough job of like making everybody in the building aware of like what people are saying, what people are like talking about them. I think Bidwell knows he would have faced a handful of questions like Monty was asked, like, hey, like, because if you're going to sit up here and say Michael LaFleur was always like the top guy, why did you put him off to the side and try to go get Kubiak like 5 days later? Like, it's just telling on that. Like, the Cardinals got a good candidate. Like, they just went about it like ass backwards.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know, man. It's disheartening because obviously he's the engine that runs all of this, but winning cures all, and he has really no control over the day-to-day when it comes to the football stuff, like the actual between the line stuff. So you have that, respite with all of this, but it's just a bad look. Like, is it a bad look, or am I over? Feel free to disagree. Like,
you think it's
a bad look too, Donnie, or no? Like, is this just kind of what owners do and it doesn't really matter?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like, I saw that and I wasn't like taken aback or like flabbergasted. I'm like, that's a lot of money, bro. I can't do that. Like, if you took one digit off that, like, I still couldn't afford it.
Yeah. I guess.
Well, to me, it's doubling down on like, he heard the backlash of the Casitas thing, and then he doubled down on it on catering to the rich again, not catering to the everyday Cardinals fans. Instead, he catered to the pocketbooks. He saw your criticism and said, I don't care. Money, please. And that's what he is. And this is why, so I heard, Donnie, remember when we were having that conversation at the Suns game with people that we won't talk about, but I can put this out there.
That's like every game, brother. You have to be way more specific.
Okay. When you and I were both there, true. When you and I were both there and we were talking to people, and one specific person said, yeah, no one knows what's going on with the Cardinals right now because Bidwell's pissed at the media for him taking a the media taking a blowtorch at him. Mm-hmm. And it was like, it just feels like that's a bit of him pouting and not taking questions from you guys too.
But that's not a time to, Donnie, tell people really quick. We got 2 minutes here. Can you reset what an introductory press conference is? Like, it's not a normal press conference. Like, you guys are you have one hand tied behind your back with kind of questions that you can ask when it's very new.
There's a time and place for those sort of burning questions. Like, to be fair, like, an introductory press conference, like, is not the place to do that.
Right.
But like, he's aware enough to where if he sat down at that table with Monty and with LaFleur, he would have been grilled. Absolutely.
Yeah. Good old Uncle Bidwell. Well, that's that. Hey, mostly a good week. Just couldn't get through it without Bidwell sticking his foot in his mouth. But with that being said, guys, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Follow us on all social media platforms. You can find that down in the episode description if you're watching on YouTube, or in the show notes if you're listening on audio. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Myself, Clancy, and Jamil will be back next Tuesday. Hopefully next Tuesday, given the fact my child could be born. Maybe it is Donnie. But with that being said, we will talk to you guys next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Cardinal Squad Show. See you.